EAGLES, Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. Getting ready now for Week 12 in the NFL. Eagles versus Cowboys. The Eagles are 8-2. The Cowboys are 4-5-1, a classic NFC East showdown. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday, my friend?
Doing well. Cowboys week, Kelly Green, Football Friday. Yeah, not as much juice with this Cowboys rivalry, though, I think, because they're just not, they haven't been that good. So
Yeah.
I think for a real competitive rivalry, or in this case in Philadelphia, it's got to be good versus good. Or when back in the day when the Cowboys were really good, the Eagles fans hated them just because they were really good. So that's sort of like the Cowboys fans now. They hate the Eagles because they're really good. And you're sort of middling or struggling to get up to that level.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John, coming into the game real quick, though, let's get the updates. Yesterday, you were down there. Thursday, some more A.J. Brown comments in the locker room. Let's start with the injury updates, though, John. Looked like, well, it didn't look like it was. Cam Jurgens was back on the field. I don't know if that means he's going to play. Where are you on the injury report for this Eagles team coming into Eagles-Cowboys?
Yeah, that's very positive. As it's very difficult to get through the concussion protocol in 1 week now. It has been statistically around the league. So that's an indication that it wasn't as serious a concussion, potentially because he was able to get out there so early in the week. A Thursday, now you have Friday, Saturday to get through it. I think there's at least a chance that he's going to be able to play. And that's a positive from the standpoint. You don't want to be down 40% of your starting offensive line because you're obviously Lane's not playing. So positive development with Cam Jurgens, and we'll see if he can get through the protocol. There's not much to say about that because there's no information about that. You're not allowed to talk about players in the protocol. Players aren't allowed to talk. So it's kind of wait and see when it comes to the NFL's protocols, which are kind of, don't even get me started on that tangent, but it's positive that he's out there so early in the week.
Yep, no doubt about it. I got to look at the Cowboys injury report as well, but this game coming up, it's going to be a good one for sure. John, what's your thought on the game in terms of, you have the Eagles offense, which has been underwhelming and struggling up and down, not all struggles, but definitely very inconsistent this season versus the Cowboys defense, who has really struggled and gotten a little bit better. And then you have the Eagles defense, which is ascending right now and looking a lot better in recent weeks versus the Cowboys offense, which has been a little inconsistent, but overall a very good offense this season. Kind of how do you see the matchup just from a macro perspective coming into this game?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like good versus good when it's Cowboys offense versus Eagles defense, and it looks like bad versus bad when it's Eagles offense versus Cowboys defense. But I think there's a lot of context in that. One, the Eagles defense, if you want to look at rankings, they're only 17th, but I think you see they're getting better at the right time, and similar to the Cowboys defense being one of the worst in the NFL statistically, but they're getting better with the additions to get back from injuries. So I think there's a lot of context in there. Dak Prescott has a very good history playing at AT&T Stadium. And the Eagles have struggled there for the most part. They don't struggle much. On the other hand, the Eagles they have the best record. They have the best everything. I hesitate to throw any of this thing out, but they have the best road record in the NFL in the Nick Sirianni era. So they've been road warriors, but that's because they win every game, basically. Right. So it should be good versus good there. Eagles are obviously the better team, the more well-rounded team, the more successful team, the more tested team to go through situations like this. But it's a division game, and that's real. You saw the pickup against the Giants. The Cowboys played them very competitively up here in week 1. So many changes since then for both teams. I don't think it matters, just the fact that they were competitive. I think it'll be a good game, and I think it'll be a better offensive game that you've seen, and that has to do with playing indoors at AT&T Stadium. Pristine environment, good for the kickers, fast track, all that stuff. I think both offenses will look well. The Cowboys always look good offensively for the most part, and I think the Eagles will look better than they have offensively.
Yeah, a rare game, John, where maybe there's the not maybe, definitely the kicker advantage actually goes to the Cowboys here. Their kicker is a freaking monster, man. Brandon Aubrey, that guy.
Yeah, you got to be careful in those end of game situations because
he did kick it
basically
68 yards.
60, yeah, 60. They're going to be comfortable 65 and in. And people have been waiting. The kid in Jacksonville hit the 68-yard field goal, so he's got the record. I know Vic said this Brandon Aubrey, he said he's going to kick a 70-yarder. It's just a matter of time. So, yeah, you have to be very wary if it's a close game, end of game situations. You can't be giving up even, a 20-yard gain. You might be in field goal position, that type of thing.
No doubt about it. John, yesterday the locker room was open again, another practice. We talked about the injury report coming in, so we'll get an update on Cam Jurgens a little bit closer to game time. Probably get another update today, and then I think we'll figure out. When do you think we'll know whether he'll play? Will that be a game time decision, or you think we'll know?
Yeah, I think he'll be listed questionable today. I mean, there's certain things like he's got to be limited. There's so many rules to the protocol, so many stages. So
because it's concussion, it's not like
exactly. Yeah. It's a lot different than a normal injury. So he'll be limited. And I remember it was the Tampa game where Lane Johnson was going through the protocol and all seemed well, and he traveled down there and Saturday, and all of a sudden he's ruled out. So This thing's goofy. That's why I say there's no rhyme nor reason to it. Now, behind the scenes they have their test and they have to pass the test. I'm not saying that, but I know from a fan standpoint they want concrete answers. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Without the information of where they are. Just that if you get out there on the field on a Thursday for a Sunday game, that's normally a positive indication that things are going well.
Yep, no doubt. John, yesterday you were in the locker room as well. Some people spoke yesterday. What did you make of the A.J. Brown? I know everybody wants to go there, so let's just go there. What did you make of the A.J. Brown comments? I think he, for the most part, tempered and dismissed everything that could have created a story, but he did give you a couple tidbits.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could see AJ's very savvy, and what he did, talking with Jeffrey Lurie and all that performative nonsense. We were talking about that before the show came on the air, but so. If you believe that, he's promised not to go on social media and complain about the offense. So how did he do it this week? Well, he was asked about CeeDee Lamb, I think. Could have been asked about George Pickens. I would have asked about George Pickens.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, and he said basically that he doesn't pay attention to other receivers because it gets him upset because he sees the production and gets him upset. Well, so he finds a way.
Can we blame him, really? I mean, hey, we came on this Tuesday show, and I'm like, boy, they get those.
No, I think it's funny. I just think it's funny. He finds a way, man. He is very savvy. He finds a way, and that was.
I thought, yeah, that's true. But there was a couple other comments too that I thought were notable for the first time from AJ, from a sense of, he made a comment about. One, the crossing routes, which was, one of those questions, but he said, hey, that's a question for Kevin Patullo. And then the other question that has gotten a lot of, I guess, publicity was they asked him if he's regressed. And he kind of jokingly said back to him, has Saquon Barkley regressed too? And to me, the way I heard that was, you really think that two elite players in this offense have regressed to this level this quick? And I don't know, I took it as, is he pointing at the offensive coordinator, not putting him in position to be successful? Is he pointing at the offense, But to me, it was the first time that AJ pointed at maybe the offense at large. And he did it in a very subtle way, but some took it, hey, he threw Saquon under the bus. I don't think he did that.
No, I
Say,
think you have the right frame of that. He's not throwing Saquon under the bus, but you know, we talked about that yesterday. You have two elite players who have not played like elite players. So is it, you know, is it injury? And again, he was asked about the hamstring and other stuff, the knee, and he said, "Guys, I'm fine." You know, so he keeps saying he's 100%. Got to take him at his word, but then you see, you know, whatever it is, those numbers you see thrown out there. Well, the separation is 134th and whatever the fuck it is. I hate those numbers because there's so much context to football. Like, what's your schedule? Are you playing a press team? Are you playing a zone team?
Yeah, right.
Last week they were playing a press team. Everybody's close. They should be close. His zone teams, you know, it's designed. Do they play off coverage? Do they play on coverage? What are the routes? You know, it's interesting. Coming into the season, the whole thing with the Eagles offense was they can't handle the blitz, which is basically, you know, a lot of times, not all the times, you're going to see man coverage. And this year, they're doing tremendous against the blitz, and they're struggling against zone. So is he not running the routes? Is it the route tree? Is it the route count? And everybody wants to blame KP. What I will say about the KP stuff is you heard the exact same phraseology, should I say, making up words, from Jalen Hurts. That's a KP question. You hear that they're trying to tell the players, not trying, they're clearly telling the players, look, just say that's a KP question. You know, Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, it's their job to take the shit, so to speak. And that's what they're doing. And they feel better equipped to do that. They don't want the players having to deal with that. So anytime they get a question, you're starting to hear that's a KP question from multiple players. That gives it away that's, you know, sort of the organizational path moving forward. But yeah, that's why I like the subtle stuff. So when he's talking about CD, you know, I don't want to talk about that because I get upset when he sees the production.
Yeah, Eeyore's not going anywhere, John. He is miserable in this offense, dude.
I mean, he's not happy. No. He's not happy. I probably shouldn't have went Eeyore because people are going to run with that. I'm going to get shit for that, but nonetheless,
I don't know. I think AJ would agree with you. I don't think he would be upset with that term. I think he would be.
Well, you know, Eeyore's. I don't even know if the young people know Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, but yeah, he's depressed.
He's grumpy. You know, AJ's grumpy. It is what it is. Yeah.
But anyway, we got our buddy John Machota in the
yeah. Let's go to John. I got a lot of questions about this Cowboy team. They are an interesting team, in my opinion. Let's bring up John Machota now. Who you can follow him at John Machota. He joins us right here on Birds 365. John, welcome to the show, man. How you doing on this Football Friday? A big game this weekend, Eagles, Cowboys in Jerry's World. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you, John. I always say John is, and the Cowboys writers, and John is the best in my opinion. But the Cowboys writers are the only ones that have a bigger circus, a bigger tent than we do in Philadelphia, I think. So it's interesting. But I do see, and look, man, I don't know how it is inside, and I'm glad to talk to you about it, but I see some optimism with this club, this Cowboys team. I mean, the offense is really good, and the defense looks terrible on paper, obviously, but all of a sudden, Quinnen Williams is there. That's a big-time player. They got an athletic linebacker. You're getting guys back from injury that are very, very talented. How are people excited down there about the Cowboys all of a sudden?
They are. The Quinnen Williams thing is huge. But then getting back to Marvion Overshown, who he's a fan favorite, but he's also a guy that he makes plays, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But when he's been healthy, he's their best linebacker. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And so, yeah, I think rational thinking fans know that playoffs are probably unlikely, but you at least see a path to where, this could be a pretty good team next season. They have the 2 first-round picks. the defense has got pieces now where you're like, you know what? There is some light at the end of this tunnel. This isn't as bad as it was earlier. Because, I mean, let's be honest, for the first half of the season, we're talking arguably the worst defense in franchise history. And so you're seeing signs there where you're like, well, on offense, there's plenty of weapons on that side of the ball. But can you stop anybody, and especially being a first year with Matt Eberflus, there's a lot of, talk of, this isn't working out. So then are they going to have to go to another defensive coordinator? I mean, it just one after another. Not that you guys aren't familiar with having changed coordinators, but the Eagles change coordinators and win at a high level. The Cowboys, it's like they're just constantly like looking for the right answer. And so there's definitely more optimism, but I don't. The whole idea of still thinking the door is open for the playoffs, I think that's a little too optimistic for me. But hey, we'll see.
John, I want to ask you real quick before we're going to dive, I'm sure, more into even Eagles Cowboys, but I got to ask you, as you cover the Cowboys, how do you view like the Eagles this year? I mean, they're 8-2, they win at such a high clip, but in Philadelphia, it feels like the sky is falling every single week. AJ Brown comments, all these different things. How do you view the Eagles from your perspective and just what they've been able to do this year? Obviously, not the best offense, but winning at a high clip, as I mentioned.
So I got a little bit of a different perspective than most that cover this team because I've been down here for 15 years, but I grew up born and raised in Detroit, obviously following the Lions. I've still followed the Lions closely. And so, I have a ton of respect for what the Eagles do. And like, just let's say watching the game Sunday night, that's a really good Lions team that a lot of people consider, they're not doing whatever. No, that's one of the best teams in the NFL. There's a reason like that Vegas still has them as, one of the top 5 or 6 favorites to win the Super Bowl. And it just, the way I look at the Eagles is I think it's funny that I've been saying this on podcasts I do down here and things that I've written. It's that, you think that the offense is dormant, but just if you watch them when they need to score, it's like boom, 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 right down the field. It doesn't matter. Like, and I'm not talking about just that game, the week before against the Packers, and those are against the best of the best teams, And so I feel like that they're a team that it's like they know what they have and they can turn it on whenever they want. Now, will that catch up with them? Maybe in January, maybe it does if things don't get ironed out. But in terms of like the respect for what the Eagles are and what they do, I think you'd have to have your head in the sand if you don't think that they're well, certainly with Howie, I don't know what team wouldn't want to have him running things, not only because of the players that he brings in, but like they're always active. From a Cowboys perspective, heck, even from the Lions perspective, the Jalen Phillips thing is just such a perfect example of just that's what you want as a fan, as an organization we're never going to just sit on our hands. We're the defending Super Bowl champs, but we're still going to go out and make another big move. And like, I'm sure Lions fans would have loved them to go after a Jalen Phillips at the trade deadline. And they didn't. They're staying pat with what they have. The Cowboys obviously were active during the trade deadline, but they were also already in a major hole at that point. And so I get it, I get people being frustrated because it doesn't look as great as it probably should with the talent that's on paper, but I just look across the league and I'm like, all right, well, if you're down on them, then who would you be excited about? Like, that's the thing with fans a lot. They look at just their team. They don't look around the league. I'm just like, I always joke, and the comp I always say that, there's 2 guys out in that parking lot at Arrowhead complaining about Patrick Mahomes. There's people everywhere that are just unhappy about everything, and it's like, but when you look around, you're just like, I don't know who has a better situation than the Eagles if you factor everything in the equation.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than 2 complaining about that. I mean, and once you reach that level that the Eagles have, and the winning is just insane. I mean, it's just the numbers you can throw out there. The second when there's only John Madden is the only coach in the Super Bowl era that has won more at a higher rate than Nick Sirianni. He's got the best road record as he goes into AT&T Stadium. Now, obviously, it's talent driven. To your point about Jalen Phillips, he's been lights out. The point that the league allows the Eagles to go get a Jalen Phillips, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just from a perspective of, why do you keep giving good players to this team? It's kind of amazing, this run they're on. But when you're on that kind of run, John, and the Cowboys, you have to go back a while. But if you go back to the Troy and even Staubach Cowboys, the expectations get higher, and you're expected to win each and every week, and you're expected to have style points when you do win. And that's where things have been lacking offensively for the Eagles. And it all stems to the quarterback, who is so unique. I say it all the time. So I love your point about it seems like whenever they need to score, they score. And boy, most quarterbacks, and you've been covering the league for a long time. So my thought is, you get into a game, John, you see a quarterback who doesn't have it in that particular game, and they usually don't have it. From my perspective, it's like I compare it to a pitcher in baseball, an ace pitcher. Sometimes you don't have your best stuff. Jalen Hurts can play poorly, and then kill you with like 2 or 3 big plays in the fourth quarter. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. A quarterback that plays the position the way he plays the position. So from my perspective, I don't think a lot of people can wrap their heads around the success. What's your perspective looking at Jalen Hurts?
So part of when you were saying it made me also think of, when you mentioned Staubach or even like the Aikman and then in the 90s Cowboys and that, I always wonder how much nowadays the player's salary factors in, because everybody knows what it is. Everyone knows that if you follow the Eagles or you follow whatever your team is, like Jalen's one of the highest paid quarterbacks, AJ is one of the highest paid wide receivers, Devontae is one of the highest paid. Like you look at all those weapons and you're just like, all right, then we need to have production there. And when you don't, then that's when people get really frustrated too, because if Jalen's still on that rookie contract, or I even think of like how expectations have most certainly changed in San Francisco with Brock Purdy. When he's on that rookie deal, it's like fine. And I say that also covering the Cowboys, because I've seen it flip with Dak. When he was under that rookie contract, man, that's his rookie year in 2016, and they're just rolling. It's him and Zeke, and everybody's like. But then when he wants top dollar, and now it's also like he can play well, but people are like, yeah, but he's not a $60 million quarterback, So I think that factors in probably more than it did in the past. But yeah, no, I've looked at Jalen as even a guy, like even with like his legs, like watching Sunday night. Yeah, it makes no sense to sit there and use your legs all the time. Like you're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL right now. You're just going to pick and choose your spots. There's no reason to run 10, 15 times and take a bunch of hits. But if they need a play for him to, everyone's dropping back, he can put his head down and just run and go get 10, 15 yards like that. And so, if you're looking at stat by stat thing, yeah, he's not putting up the numbers that some of the highest paid quarterbacks are, but he's also healthy and out there. And there's other teams like Cincinnati would probably love to have that. So I think the critical side is that, like I said, that everyone knows how well AJ and Devontae play and are paid. And then you look at them and you're just like, man, I'm kind of surprised that they don't have that production that goes with it. And it would be very easy to point to that if they were losing games. That's the thing for me. Like, you're winning, so right, you should be happy and keep rolling. But if they were struggling, and let's say this was a 4 or 5 loss team, I would certainly be like, man, how are you not getting AJ Brown the ball more? How are you not, getting Devontae more?
Line. It's a thin
What's
line.
that?
It's a thin line.
Oh yeah, no question. And so, I don't know. I just cover the league long enough, follow the league long enough that I'm just like, just be happy if you're winning at the end of the day. Again, going back to the Detroit thing. I mean, there was like, with Ben Johnson, all these style points and everyone's excited. It's like, well, yeah, that was cool. And it was fun to watch, especially if you're from Detroit. You've never seen football like that in forever. So, but at the end of the day, you're not also not winning a Super Bowl. You're not getting to a Super Bowl, And so if you get a chance to do that, then I guess for me, I would be on Jalen. I'd be like, well, let it play out. And if, they lose to, I don't know, the Rams in the playoffs or something, and he doesn't play well, then I can see where you can criticize him then. But like where they're playing right now, I don't really get the criticism, but I also don't cover teams that win Super Bowls.
Good perspective. John, I want to ask you about, obviously, tragedy struck a couple weeks ago in Dallas with the passing of Marshawn Neal. Very sad story. How has that impacted the team, in your opinion? You've obviously been covering them up close and personal. I know they had the bye week right after that tragedy, and then they had the Raiders game on the road. Just how do you think, how has the team responded to that? And obviously a very sad story. If you want to share anything about that, certainly go ahead.
Yeah, no question. It was just a wild, like, 4 days, because they play Monday night against the Cardinals, lose, and you're just like, when that happens, you're like, it's the Arizona Cardinals. That's a game you have to win if you want any chance of making the playoffs with the tough part of your schedule coming up. So certainly that has to factor in on Jerry being a little bit more aggressive at the trade deadline the following day. So when you're following this team, there's obviously this team's probably making the playoffs. And then the next day they trade for Quentin Williams, which, we had heard that they were interested when they were shopping Micah Parsons back right before the season started. But still, you're thinking that, well, they're not going to do that now. They traded Micah Parsons and got Kenny Clark, and they just paid Osa Odighizuwa a bunch of money. Like, they got money tied up at D-tackle. They're not going to do it. And then you're like, wow, that's okay. And then so they make, and then they trade for Logan Wilson, the linebacker from Cincinnati. So then they make those players available. And now you're sitting there, and it's kind of like the way you feel like today, where you're like, oh yeah, there's some optimism. You could see like they added some pieces. I could see this defense being better going forward. And then they're on the bye week. And so you're not really around the team. The team isn't around, a lot of guys go out of town for that. And then that tragedy hits late Wednesday, early Thursday morning. And it just, it's stunning. I live probably about, 5-10 minutes from the practice facility. And that's right in the area where all of that happened. And I'm just waking up. I'm completely stunned about it. Like, it's one of those things you just don't even believe, that something like that could even happen. Kid that's 24 years old. He scored a touchdown in that game against the Cardinals on that Monday night. And my one takeaway I'll say now, like, looking back on it, is that in the moment, I was like, you know what? It might be good for the players that they're on the bye week, because, man, it's a Thursday, and now all of a sudden you'd have to get ready for a game in that. But now that the time has gone by, I kind of feel like playing a game might have helped, because the guys would have been around each other. Having that bye week, like, they immediately on Thursday got on Zoom calls, and they made the Cowboys and the NFL made, professionals available, grief counseling and things like that. But you can tell just from talking to the players that following Monday, when everybody was back in the building, was huge for them, and that, that starting to try and heal from that. But there's no question, he was very, liked guy in the locker room, just a really good guy, positive guy. Anytime you're around him, smiling, happy guy. And so I don't think that there was the sense that I got anybody that expected anything like that. And so, yeah, no question, it's tough for them. But I really do think that there is some truth in that, being together as a team, being back out on the field together. And I think that Monday night in Las Vegas and winning that game and the way they played, I think that's a big step for them to somewhat trying to get back to being kind of what they were before the tragedy hit.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, John, because one of the things I've criticized the NFL for over the years is when they do, and this is, I don't want to compare situations because this is a terrible tragedy, but when they suspend players, I always thought to myself, you're sort of set adrift from the organization. You can't be in the building. There's no support with your friends, your organization, your support staff. Whatever problem you might be having, it might be large problem, it might be a smaller problem, but support to me would make the most sense. Not setting the person adrift and say, all right, you're gone. Well, you don't exist until you can come back in the building when the suspension is over. That never made sense to me. And then the second part, and we've dealt with it here in Philadelphia, some of the highest profile players, mental health. Lane Johnson has been very vocal. AJ has been very vocal. People who seem on top of the world, and as you mentioned, Marshawn scoring a touchdown, to us, it's like, well, what a great day for a young player. And you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So I think that support part of it, is a good sort of take by you and sort of look at that situation, because I think the NFL needs to change that aspect, and they do the best. I'm not trying to criticize the league, as they offer all that kind of counseling, but I think, getting people around each other is the best way to handle those types of situations. In a bye week, you can't. So it's a very difficult situation. But yeah, I thought that was nicely said. Back on the field, boy, I don't get to see every play like you do, but when I think of the Cowboys this year, and I've seen quite a bit of Cowboys football, I am so impressed by George Pickens. I am so impressed by George Pickens and the step that he's taken forward. I don't know if Pittsburgh didn't use him right, but he looks like a big-time, well-rounded receiver who can do a bunch of things, as opposed to just a guy who can run past people and go route 50-50 balls. What have you seen from George Pickens this season?
Yeah, I think it certainly helps that he has Dak Prescott, and he's in an offense that has CeeDee Lamb on the other side of the ball, and that they all get along. And I certainly think I've gotten the sense that George likes the way that Brian Schottenheimer calls the offense and things like that. So I think all of that factors in. You also got to include that, he's in a contract year. If there's any time to be on your best behavior and buying into whatever the team is that you're on, no matter what's going on, wins and losses wise, this would be the time to do it. So there are a lot of factors. I'm in a spot where I'm very cautious about being just so definitive on what I say one way or the other. And I say this because of someone who's been around covering Micah Parsons for the last 4 years, where do I think that you trade Micah Parsons right before the season starts to the Green Bay Packers? No, I do not think that. But I also don't live in a world where you're like, you cannot trade Micah Parsons, because there's reasons behind the scenes of whether it be leadership, things like that, where all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's fine. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, when you're on your rookie contract, do I now want to deal with some of that stuff? But I also need that player to be the face of my defense, the leader of the entire group. And I'm going to give him $42, $45 million per year. I can understand where all of a sudden you start doing some mental gymnastics on that. And so that's the only reason why I'm not, I have a lot of respect for the Steelers organization. And so it would not surprise me if there's things that went on there that just haven't gone on here. They're like things have clicked. But I would say that for me, the number one thing is that I just think that Dak Prescott's the best quarterback George Pickens has played with. And so he's been given opportunities that he probably hasn't had when he's had to have some younger quarterbacks, in Pittsburgh that just didn't work out. And then there's probably some butting of heads with Mike Tomlin. And if you do that in Pittsburgh, there's probably a good chance that that's not going to work out for you then. So certainly it's a little bit different coaching style from Brian Schottenheimer. But then I really think the relationship he has with CeeDee Lamb, I mean, both of them were had to sit out the first series because they missed curfew.
It's not perfect. I'm just talking.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, John.
The athleticism to me is just I didn't see it. I saw like the deep threat ability, but now he's making plays all over the field and
that touchdown after catch. The touchdown he did Monday, like it looked like a play where you're like, oh, he'll get 20, 30 yards. And the way he hit this cut back and just cut across the defense, I was like, man, 6'3", 200. Not many people out there doing that at that size, So no, there's really not a weakness to his game. And I believe he's shown that more here than he probably did in Pittsburgh, because when they traded for him, I was like, well, he's clearly their two. But now, I mean, I believe more than ever, it is a 1A, 1B with him and CeeDee Lamb. And so if both of them are happy with how much they're getting the ball and that, then everything's fine. But, I'm not saying that if there was some struggling going on, that there wouldn't be some frustration. I mean, it kind of comes with the position. So, but as of right now, he seems happy. And here's the other thing is that he does have the same agent as Micah Parsons. But I get the sense that Jerry Jones is going to do everything he can to make sure that George isn't going anywhere. And that could be an ugly offseason of putting the franchise tag on him. And, maybe that's what happens. But I just find it very hard to believe that Jerry Jones is going to let him go. The way he loves offense, the way Jerry loves wide receivers, the things that Pickens has done, the idea of having him and CD with Dak. I mean, this window that the Cowboys are in right now is most certainly the Dak Prescott window. And so to have those two guys out there for him with all the money Jerry's invested in Dak, yeah, I understand that people, especially in Dallas, are concerned about, well, what is he's on, final year of his contract. I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because most other teams that have two great receivers, there is a difference in pay. While not huge, there's 30 and then 25. Like in Philly, 32 for AJ, 20 something for Devontae. George Pickens is playing like he's going to get wide receiver one money, and obviously CD Lamb makes what he makes. So that's going to be an interesting thing. I'm thinking franchise tag is coming as well. John, talk to me about Dak Prescott, man. He's a hot figure name here in Philadelphia. You mentioned Dak Prescott here. You say he's having a good year, and the Philly fans will jump down your throat. But I think he's having a great year right now. He's obviously a very talented player. But what do you make of Dak Prescott, what he's been able to do with this offense? Obviously, you just talked about the playmakers that he has, but the running game's come along. I think Schottenheimer's done a pretty good job with this team. Talk to me about Dak Prescott right now.
Yeah, the first 5 or 6 games of the season, he was playing as well as, if not the best I've ever seen him play. And then against, I'd say there was probably about 2 games there. They played at Denver, and then that Monday night game against the Cardinals where he wasn't as sharp as he was earlier in the year. But then this past game against the Raiders, I mean, he looked like he was earlier in the year as well. I mean, he's on pace to have his best season. And obviously having CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens helps, but they're working through some things on the offensive line. That's the thing. Like when people ask me about this game on Sunday, I'm like, I don't have any questions about the receivers, the running game, Dak. It's about tell me how the offensive line plays. And so that's kind of been part of it too, is when the offensive line has been there, then, Dak's been great. But it's the same way here. In terms of the criticism, there's some folks that, hey, you can't say a single bad thing about Dak Prescott. And then there's others who are just like, oh, he should have moved on from him a long time ago. He's not the answer. He's not going to get it done. And so when you have anybody that's been your quarterback for a decade now, and you don't win a Super Bowl, then fans are going to say that. So
even winning a Super Bowl might not change the job. I got the evidence here in Philly.
I've seen that. That is interesting. Yeah, no, I don't see, my thing with Dak is I just am constantly trying to look across the league and go, okay, so like, I even said it the other day, like my friends and family that are Lions fans, you come off of that game that Jared Goff just played, and they're, fans are really critical of Goff. And I'm just kind of like, all right, get out a piece of paper and write how many quarterbacks around the league you'd rather have than that guy. You're not going to get very far down the list because it's the most difficult position to play in sports as far as I'm concerned. So you're just not going to be perfect every week. You're going to have ups and downs. And that's really been Dak's career. This game though, most likely it's less than 200 yards he needs to become the all-time leading passer in Cowboys franchise history. He's going to pass Romo.
Is he on the brink of that?
Yeah. So it's like, and this whole season's been that where, a lot of these records are Romo's records because, it's a passing league now. And so, he's been the Cowboys quarterback for 10 years and he hasn't won a Super Bowl. So there's going to be critics of that because of that. But in terms of his leadership, in terms of what he brings, his ability and all that, there's just not many quarterbacks that you would rather have. Like for myself, if I say get out that list and how many quarterbacks would you definitively want over Dak Prescott? There probably is only 4 or 5. And maybe you can get to 6, 7, but like the idea that people think that he's like a 15th, 16th, get out of here. That's ridiculous. So he's a good quarterback, but he hasn't been great in the biggest moments. And because of that, and there hasn't been those wins in January, then there's always going to be the criticism.
Yeah, Eagles fans, Sean, I got to tell you, they go nuts, especially in the off season. I call it list season when all the lists come out and Jalen Hurts is, Super Bowl MVP and they put him 10th or whatever. They lose their minds. And I'm like, they think he's singled out for some reason. I'm like, it's the same thing for every quarterback in every city. Dak Prescott, you just brought up Jared Goff. If they don't perform, it's such a week-to-week league. Then all of a sudden, like Jared Goff is playing at 35-mile-an-hour winds. I think that's contextual. When you talk about poor offense last week in Philadelphia, it was a terrible, terrible weather game.
I'll give you one real quick. I was always somebody that, because the Lions weren't winning on a very high level when Matthew Stafford was there, and I was always like, I'm telling you guys, he's not the problem. Like
I talk about Stafford all the time. He's
amazing.
A better quarterback then than he is now. When he was in Detroit losing, he was unbelievable. Zander can tell you that. I've been talking about Stafford for years, and I said, you guys don't know how good he is. And now it's ironic because he might win MVP. He's probably the front runner. And I'm like, he was a much better player. It's just age, much savvier player now. Very good quarterback. I'm not trying a tremendous season, but he was better when he was in Detroit. He was unbelievable, but they just didn't have the supporting cast. I think personally, I don't know how you feel, but I think quarterback evaluation in the NFL is broken. From the top to the bottom, from the best guys to the bottom guys, because they have the better quarterback, they should win. It's the ultimate team game for a reason. And you do need a supporting cast, which Nick Sirianni talks about. But for this game coming up, it is going to be a pristine environment. That's one of the positives for Dak Prescott to be able to play at AT&T Stadium. He's had tremendous success there, Dak Prescott. They're one of the best home teams in the NFL, and they have been for an extended period when he's on the field. Eagles have the best road record. Something's got to give. What's going to give in this game, John Machota?
I mean, I think the Eagles being the better team and the fact that they just seem like they just find ways to win. So even if the Cowboys, let's say, come out hot, maybe take like an early lead, I could see the Eagles offense all of a sudden clicking into a gear that you haven't seen recently because they need to. And it seems like whenever they need to, they've been able to make it work. And so I was a little surprised when I saw that the line was only 3.5. I thought it'd be a little bit higher than that, but I think from the Cowboys' perspective, if it is a close game or the Cowboys are to win, it'll be about that defense and Quinnen Williams and those guys, DeMarvion Overshown, how much of a step they take from their first game the previous week. Because before that, getting Overshown back before making that move for Quinnen Williams, I would be like, I don't even care what the line is. There's no way the Cowboys can win this game. They just don't have anything on defense that would slow any decent team. But now with those moves and what they've done at really defensive tackle, playing Kenny Clark with Osa and Quinnen all at the same time, they've been able to cause some pressure and some problems up the middle, stopping the run. That's been a big thing too. Before those moves in previous years, defensive tackle in Dallas just hasn't really been very good at all. And you could always point to a big game like this where you'd be like, well, I'm not saying Saquon's going to go for $150, but he's going to make the plays when it matters most, and that's going to be a difference in the game. But now that they've made those moves, I can't really say that right now definitively. It still could come down to Saquon or Jalen using his legs and things like that, but I think it would be more through the passing game and through the air. And so this could be the game where A.J. Brown has a big game. The Cowboys corners are solid. They're not great. And so if you give Jalen Hurts some time and A.J. Brown's running around back there, I could see him making some big plays, especially with how the storylines have been going about, him not getting the ball and things like that. He's going to eventually have a game where he breaks out, and this could certainly be that. But yeah, Dak is very comfortable going against the Eagles. Just being around him this last year or so, when it's come to whether it was the season opener or this game, he has a lot of confidence going against the Eagles because of the fact that he just has seen them a bunch. He's seen Vic a lot. And so now he hasn't seen them with Jalen Carter and Jalen Phillips together at the same time. And so that adds a new wrinkle to it. Yeah. But
hey, by the way, real quick, because I know we're talking offense, defense. How cool is it to watch Brandon Aubrey? If it is a close game, you basically just got to get to the parking lot and you got a shot. Vic has already said, you brought up Vic, that kid's going to make a 70-yard field goal. I don't know when, but he's going to make a 70-yard field goal. What kind of luxury is having that guy?
Yeah, it's been huge for them, especially playing at AT&T Stadium. You know, when he's indoors, man, or certain weather conditions. You know, watching the game on Sunday night with the Eagles and Lions, I don't know that he'd be kicking 70-yarders into the wind and stuff like that. But when he's on that indoor environment like that, like, yeah, it could, if it's a close game late, they only have to get to the star and he can, and they feel very confident bringing him out there from 60. So if he needed to kick 70, he could certainly do it. He's made 60 plus yarders with plenty of leg behind it, especially at AT&T Stadium. And so that could be a huge part of his game. No question. Without Brandon Aubrey, they probably have at least two less wins. He's been, huge for them. It's almost like you take it for granted because you're just like, oh yeah, no, well, Aubrey will make this. I mean, even the players have talked about that being on the bench when they'll send him out there for a 60-yarder and they're just like, yeah, no, Brandon will make this. This isn't even, we're not even going to watch. We already know that. Let's get on to the next play. And so, yeah, it's been a huge weapon. No doubt about it. But I will also say just across the league, though, I feel like you're seeing this more and more. And that, definitely. You know, covering the Cowboys, it's turned into this, like, I'm sure that they're tired of us asking about the kicking balls and all these, you know, the things that have changed. But yeah, there's no question. I mean, he's as good as I've ever seen, especially from long distances. And
kicking balls are juice, John. Yeah, that's what we've had those discussions too. I don't know how what you can manipulate with the football so much from week to week, but it is amazing how deep kickers have gotten to. But he's the best, man. He's which is ironic because he was a soccer player at Notre Dame. He didn't even play football, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and Schottenheimer will take the points. Like Dan Campbell, you know, went for it 5 times on 4. Shotty will take the points, you know, so it's going to be a factor for sure.
That is very true. But yeah, no, didn't play football at Notre Dame. You know, he's a guy that played in the MLS and it really wasn't going the way that he was hoping. And as the story goes, at home on a Sunday with his, I don't know if they were married at the time, might have been his fiance, but she told him they were watching the game and she's like, you could make those kicks or whatever. And it led to him being like, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll work on this a little bit, you know, and he ended up getting a kicking coach and started working on the side. And he got better and better. And the rest is history. But it is wild. Kicker is such an interesting position like that, where it seems like whenever a team spends a somewhat high pick on a kicker, it seems like that those flame out. But then you get these guys that you just kind of, he works on his craft and he's got a strong leg. But the key part to all the kicking, though, too, is that there is the mental side of it, too, you know, that you stay steady, you don't change up your swing. And he's been great at that. You know, he will tell you all the time that a lot of people think, oh, he's just out there probably just practicing 60, 70. Like, hey, let's see if I can make it for 85. You know, like, he's not doing that at all. Like, he doesn't want to mess with his swing, change things up and stuff like that. And so the mental side of it and him not wavering on what he's doing has been a huge part as well.
No doubt. John, what do you think, man? Who wins the game this weekend? Dallas feels like they're in must-win territory for me. Who do you got winning the game this weekend?
Yeah, I got Eagles 24-17. I think the Cowboys will play well. But I just think in the end, like I said, I'm just watching that Eagles team when they've had to make plays when they need it. I think that'll be there. And then it just having Jalen Carter and Jalen Phillips out there. Obviously, Carter wasn't out there for almost any of the game in week 1 after the spitting incident.
None of the game. That was before play 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get the sense that he's going to do that again. So I think he will play in this game. So if you have him out there and then just the way Jalen Phillips is playing, I think that there will be those key plays there, whether it be getting to the quarterback or just affecting the quarterback the way that they do. But I don't think you can completely shut down the Cowboys offense. There's too many weapons there.
That's pretty good. If you hold that team to 17 points, that's the feather in Vic Fangio's cap. Not that he needs more of them.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that could happen in this game, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does, is that, you know, in a way, like, honestly, going back to Sunday night, where it's like, man, you got those big plays, Jahmyr Gibbs, but you're not cashing in with 7. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not leading to touchdown drive after touchdown drive, you know? And so I can see some big plays to CD and to George, or even maybe to Jake Ferguson, or even Javonte Williams, but it's not leading to the touchdowns. It's leading them, either, if not taking the field goal, going for it and not converting. That's just the way the NFL is. I mean, it's just there's so much talent on all these positions that it's like, you think that it's, oh, well, this will happen, and this will be the final score in that. And it's like, just, I don't know, weird things happen. And I just get the sense when you play Philadelphia that there's a little bit of teams don't want to make the big mistake. And so they're a little bit more, hey, we can't give them a short field. We got to be sound on this. And maybe it leads you to being a little bit more cautious than you would normally be. And maybe that plays a factor in this game. But yeah, I'm just not at the spot yet. If we were 4 or 5 games in with Quinnen Williams, I'd feel maybe a little bit different, or DeMarvion Overshown being back from the knee injury. But right. I'm not quite at that spot yet where I can see them beating the Eagles. I still would be surprised if that happens.
At John Machota, make sure you follow John on the X platform. Read him at The Athletic. Does a tremendous job there. The One Star Cowboys podcast. By the way, the Star, my buddy's going down there to cover the game. Martin Frank, John, and his son is coaching. Is one of the teams. I guess they're having high school playoffs at the Star. The Star's pretty cool, man. So you guys, I'll tell you what. You guys got the advantage with the facilities with the Star.
It's crazy. I think about it all the time with their first round pick, Tyler Booker. He played at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, which their facility is insane. And then he goes to Alabama, and then he gets drafted by the Cowboys. So he'll even talk about it. It's like he's got it pretty good, Yeah,
he's spoiled, man. He doesn't know what it's like for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, no, it is a good facility, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Good stuff. John, appreciate you joining today, man. Make sure everybody goes and follows John Machota on Twitter and all the other platforms. John, we appreciate you joining in today, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Enjoy the game this weekend. Good luck covering it. We'll be reading all your work. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, John.
There's John Machota joining us right here on Birds 365. Great stuff there. Great preview of the game. Great inside look at the Cowboys team. John, Machota didn't seem too optimistic that the Cowboys.
No, he doesn't. No. Well, that's the thing. He sees them every day. He knows all the awards. We just see a lot of the highlights, and his point. I thought his point about George Pickens. I should have told him. Jalen Carter, by the way, is very close with George from their college days.
So is that right? Oh, yeah. Georgia. That's right.
So he's excited to see him, but you don't see the warts from he gets to see all the warts, and to his point, I mean, those guys were benched for the first series, in Las Vegas. So it's not all peaches and cream, but I was surprised that he had the score so low. I wasn't surprised that the Eagles, he picked the Eagles because all the Eagles do is win. So I'm never surprised when people pick the Eagles. And I think in a lot of ways, people outside the city have more respect for what the Eagles do than people inside the city, because they know how hard it is to win. I mean, they just do. And it's really hard. And to win at the level the Eagles are winning at, it just doesn't happen in this league. So I always get the sense that guys outside have more respect for what the Eagles are doing than fans in Philadelphia. That's what I always say. They're a little bit spoiled. And so that part doesn't surprise me. But this Cowboys team scoring 17 points, the Eagles are going to win if they hold them to 17 points. I'm very confident in that.
I agree. No doubt about it. John, real quick here, let's get into the game a little bit. We got Oscar Budajin coming up in about 20 minutes. Looking forward to talking to Oscar Budajin. We got some super chats we'll get to, and then I want to get your key matchups here in the game. I want to thank At the Helm Outdoors for gifting 5 memberships today. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. This is a pretty funny super chat here. Skywalk checking in. What's up, Skywalk? John, risk averse, got me in trouble. My Italian girlfriend wanted to make a new meal for dinner. Jokingly, I said the norm. It's risk averse. If you would have seen the look I got, LOL. What's up, Zander?
It can't be. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, anybody with a girlfriend, wife. Yeah, you gotta try some new things. It's weird. I'm with you. I'm risk averse. If I like something, I like something.
Me too.
I stick with it.
Me too. I'm good eating the same thing, same couple meals.
Why don't you order? I always get that. Why don't you order something different? I'm like, Why am I gonna roll the dice when
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy? I don't get people. I agree with you.
Skywalk, good stuff, brother. Appreciate it. And the risk averse approach. It might look ugly, but it gets you wins. All right. Here's Pumper. What's up, Pump? Fellas, I'm not liking the vibes around this game. Cowboys look to be on the rise, and we look like we are on the brink of collapse. Dallas 36-20.
I love Pump. They're 4-5-1, and the Eagles are the favorite to win the Super Bowl on the betting markets. It's definitely a shtick with Pumper at this point.
Well, come on, it's been for a long time. But
but even more so. I think he's amped it up.
Yeah, he has amped it up. There's no doubt about it. Pump, appreciate you, my man. All right, good super chat. 36-20 is egregious, though. Pumper. Johnny Mac, let's get into your keys to the game. And real quick, I'm gonna do something a little different. Normally we give the score at the end of the show, but we got two guests here on Football Friday. So let's get your score prediction for the game, John, right now. I got my prediction.
Oh boy. Right now.
And then I want to get your keys to the game. So Eagles, Cowboys. So
I'm gonna go.
What do you got, John?
I'm going to go. You just got the Cowboys right or picking the Eagles. So now you're going to get the Eagles right or picking the Cowboys. I'm going to go late Brandon Aubrey field goal wins it. Last possession type of thing. Might be from 63 yards. Score it's going to be in the high 20s. So I don't know how you get there, but let's say 28-27.
28-27. John's got the Cowboys winning the game. John, I did not expect that. Honestly, I did not expect you picking the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean they're a very good offensive team. One of the most impressive things digging in is they have the fewest negative plays in the NFL, which has been a big sore spot for the Eagles. The Cowboys have the fewest negative plays in the NFL. And they have only 20 rushing plays that have resulted in negative yardage. They're generally always on schedule. Too many penalties, especially with Tyler Smith, who ironically is their best. But again, you're talking about compared to the rest of the league. Number one, best in the league in negative plays. So I think they're going to score some points, even with the Eagles defense. Again, the environment helps. I'm enamored with George Pickens and the season he's having. Now maybe he does something stupid and misses a meeting and is benched. I don't know. Maybe. But I think he's playing at a really high level. And CeeDee Lamb is back playing at a high level. I also didn't realize Javonte, how effective he's been this year. So they have a running game. And then Dak is the type of high volume thrower that people seem to want. But I don't know if they really want. So I think they're going to score some points, and I think the defense has gotten a little bit better, and I think they have the best kicker in football. So if it's late, and I don't think the Eagles are going to go undefeated the rest of the way. So this is a logical loss in a difficult environment, and Dak Prescott's history at AT&T Stadium is pretty good.
It is. John, I'm looking at it. Since the first game versus the Giants, where the Eagles defense got beat up pretty bad, 34-17, they lost that game. They have given up 22 to the Vikings, 20 to the Giants, 7 to the Packers, and 9 to the Lions. Now, I understand there's the weather games, but this defense is just humming too much right now for me to pick the Cowboys. I think that Cowboys offense is great. I think they're going to be held a little bit. I got 27-20 Eagles winning this game.
Yeah, I have no problem with anybody picking the Eagles ever, basically. Yeah. I rarely pick against them. Their defense is playing well. They're a different team since they've gotten Jalen Phillips. So I don't even have to go back. I don't care about, again, but I do think also two things. I think the Eagles now have a very good defense, but I also think you do have to put the context into it. I do. Jalen Hurts had a perfect passer rating in Minnesota, and Minnesota still had a chance to win that game with Carson Wentz turning the ball over every 10 seconds, it seemed. You know, the Giants are the Giants. And again, once you get to the impressive wins, the Packers and the Lions, look, there were 3 bad offenses in those games. The Packers, the Lions, and the Eagles. So I do think you have to factor in the weather part of it. So it's going to get there's going to be a little bit of regression to the mean. So I don't think they're going to give up 40, but I don't think they're going to hold them to 17 like John said or 20 like you said either, because they're explosive and they're good and they're well-rounded.
Capable of it, no doubt. They're certainly capable of it. John, what are your main keys for the Eagles? You know, I know you picked them to lose the game, but let's just say the Eagles, if the Eagles win the game, okay, what are the keys for the Eagles to win the game this weekend versus the Cowboys?
Well, Saquon getting 100-yard game, I think would be number one. Their typical way of winning, don't turn the football over, win the turnover battle, which they should, because A, they typically do, and B, Dallas is the team that's less risk averse. We'll go risk. They're ordering the new dish at the restaurant or enjoying their wife's new dinner. Whereas the Eagles, so they're the ones who will be willing to take the chances. And more so because they're on top of that, they're the desperate team in this situation. And they're the team that is lesser. So, they're going to be willing to take chances to win the football game. So, yeah. And then the kicker. I do think, nobody ever talks about the kickers. I think the kicker, if it's a close game, if it's a one-score game, this guy's a problem. Now, how do you stop that problem? We'll win by, 2
I'm telling you, Shoddy's going to take the points, man. Shoddy will be hit. They're going to have 3 field goals in this game.
I don't necessarily like that.
I know you don't, but I'm just saying, the Eagles points have been coming at a premium for the Eagles offense as well, So I think it could be a factor.
Well, I don't know. If
the Eagles put up 30 points, then the field goals aren't going to mean shit. If they put up 20, I think it's
I'm just looking at Aubrey. He's 18 of 19 this year on field goals. So he's missed 1. 1 from 50 plus. He's 6 of 7 from 50 plus. So it's not like they're taking the points when they're down inside the 20.
Yeah, right.
They're taking the points when it's 55, 60, and they get points where other teams are not as, even though there's been a lot of kickers making long field goals, they don't do it as consistently as Aubrey. So, I don't know. He's taken 19 field goals. So it's not like they're 4th and 1 at the 5 and they're not going to go for it. I don't believe that.
How good is that Cowboys offensive line?
It's above average. I don't think it's great. But I know I was talking to Jalen Carter for a long time yesterday. He thinks Tyler Smith is really good. Really good. And he's not, he was an all-pro.
Yeah, he is really good.
Tyler Booker's had a good rookie year, but he's excited to face Tyler. But he's just excited to face rookies. He thinks he can take advantage of them, and he probably can. But he's had a very good rookie year. And then the tackles are sort of okay. They're above average, but they're not great. So I would say it's a good offensive line, not a great offensive line. So definitely there'll be opportunities for, and that's become the strength of the Eagles defense, as he typically is. The front now is repopulated. Jalen Carter's playing well, even though the stats aren't there. Now they're making a big thing of assists with the Eagles, because he's assisting other guys to make plays, which is true. I talk about it all the time.
Pocket on the Tunsack, yeah.
Well, it's very true. and Morrow's having a great year, and Jalen Phillips has been lights out since he got here. Jordan Davis is player of the week. Now all of a sudden the depth on the defensive front has been just everything has fallen into place. Almost like Howie should have listened to me at the start.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff there, everybody. Appreciate it. Good keys to the game there from J-Mac. Let's get our super chats in here. D Rose, what's up, brother? 17-6 Eagles. Holy moly, man.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll tell you what, if it's 17-6, there'll be two things I'm doing on the post-game show. I'll be giving Vic Fangio more flowers than he deserves.
Eagles will win the Super Bowl if they give up. I will predict.
And we'll still be complaining about the offense because that's a shitty performance from the offense as well. 17 points.
Yeah, especially only giving up 6. You're going to have a lot of opportunities. But D Rose, that'd be a crazy score. Here's Jarhead. What's up, Jarhead? Member for 8 months. Thank you, my man. Hey, Big Z, I got the jersey. Great stuff. Appreciate the note you sent with it. You're a true professional, brother. Appreciate that, my man. And I'm happy you got the jersey. You're doing an amazing job. Keep it up and let's grow this thing even more. Eagles 20-13. Oof. And another low output for the Cowboys.
Boy, people are buying into this defense. Woo.
I'm buying into this defense, dude.
Well, so am I, but I do think
I know that's pretty insane. But I got you.
There's a difference between playing at Lincoln Financial Field and with 40-mile-an-hour wind gust and playing in a climate-controlled environment. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Well, John, you got to let Eagles fans have the defense, all right? Because that's the most fun part about watching this team right now is that the defense is so damn good. So, it doesn't surprise me that the fans are fired up about the defense. I'm fired up about the defense. Here's Dwayne. What's up, Dwayne? John, if Eagles lose, do you still see us getting the 1 seed? It'll be tough with the Rams, but
it'll be a 2-horse battle. The Rams might lose to Seattle.
It could turn into a 3-horse battle. So I mean, if the Seahawks.
Well, the Seahawks and the Rams are going to be fighting each other and fighting the boys. So it's only going to be 1, and that's why I say it's 2. Right now, it's the Rams. It might turn into Seahawks, but if the Seahawks take care of the Rams, well, they take care. You really have to worry about the Seahawks because the Eagles have the advantage over the Rams because they beat them head to head. So you really have to almost hope. But the Rams, I would still say they have the inside track because the Rams have to finish ahead of the Eagles. So, it's always difficult. You want to win every game, but I just don't think this team is consistent enough to win every game. And this is one where it's a difficult road environment. So, it's the NFL.
No doubt. Dwayne, good stuff, man. Appreciate it. Here's Pumper. MF for calling the coach shoddy now. All right, Xander, you can't even cape no more. Closer. Closet Cowgirls fanboy. Oh, my gosh, Pumper. Why? Because I said Dak Prescott's having a good year. You're a soft. Pumper, you're a softy. Here's Joshua. What's up, Joshua? Eagles beat Minnesota. Perfect passing. Killed New York Giants. Beat Green Bay and Detroit and win, yet get criticized. Cowboys beat the Raiders and suddenly they're contenders. LOL.
Boy, these guys.
Are you listening to the show?
These guys are nuts, man. Some of you guys are nuts. You don't think the Eagles? John just waxed poetically. John Machota just like people outside of Philadelphia are awed by the Eagles. Awed by the Eagles. And Eagles fans think they get no respect. It's unbelievable to me. When you pick an NFL team,
never enough. It's never enough. Doesn't matter how much.
When you pick an NFL team to lose 28-27 on the road, that is not an insult. That is a 50-50 game that can go either way.
Yeah. Moonlight says, John, random question. Do you think T.O. could still play a half?
No. Come on. No. I mean, could he play a half? Could he go out there? Yeah. Effectively? No.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, I always say, like, why can't he line up this? Anybody can line up anywhere. Can they do it effectively? He's 51 years old. No, there's a reason 51-year-old people don't play NFL football. It's a young man's game.
Yep, no doubt. Here's bird season. We're overdue for a loss, in my opinion. I got us losing this one 34-21. Oh, I don't think the defense giving up that many points, bro.
No, either do I. And when I say high 20s, it might be a quirky play. Maybe they do turn it over once. Maybe it's a short field, but I don't think the defense is going to play poorly. I just don't think, again, I mean, the Eagles defense deserves a lot of credit, but is everyone out there who listens to it really not taking into account, hey, the weather was pretty shitty in those two games, and that might have affected all three offenses. Anybody out there who think maybe that contributed as well? It doesn't mean that defense didn't play great. They played tremendously, but they were aided by the weather. Is that controversial? They're not going to be aided by the weather in Dallas.
Yeah, right. Menifee says, what's the likely record over the next 7 games? Oof, looks like it could be really good.
Well, Nick Sirianni will tell you, worry about this game, then get to the next game, week by week.
I don't have to subscribe to that.
They're going to win a lot. They're going to win a lot of them.
They got the Raiders, they got the Chargers, they got the Commanders twice, they got the Bills. Who am I leaving out? Bears.
By the way, the Bills, man, the Bills are not. No, the Bills are basically, and Josh Allen almost got killed last night.
Yeah, he did.
The Bills are not a great team. They are basically Josh Allen. Go perform like
the Eagles broke the NFL, John. Just play Pop Warner offense. Don't turn the ball over, and with the passing game that everybody wants in the modern game, they are gonna just give up the ball at some point. It doesn't matter who you are or how good you are. Just don't turn it over if you're the Eagles. Have a good defense. You'll win every game.
That's the plan. 16 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Eagles broke the NFL.
Jalen Hurts, number 1 NFL quarterback, 22-3 touchdown to turnover ratio. Number 1 in the NFL, 16-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
It's impressive. Pumper says, no, numbnuts. You're using a nickname for the Cowgirls coach, the constant Dak slobbering. All right, Pump. I'll be objective. You can whine about it in the chat. Appreciate you coming in here, Pumper, as always. All right. And also, Pump, I love you. You have been wrong about a lot more than you've been right about, my friend. So take a seat, Mr. Pumper. All right. I do appreciate you being here, as always. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button on the show today. We're going to have Oscar Budajin coming up in just a couple seconds here. Should be a good game this weekend down in Dallas. It is a nice place to play, that stadium, John, as you pointed out, but the weather will not be a factor in this game. What are you expecting from the offense? You think they get going to a higher level this week?
Yeah, definitely. For the same reason.
Yeah.
I mean, for the same reason. It'll be easier for them to navigate as well. Now, there's no evidence of them being an explosive offense, so I can't go that far. Although the Cowboys defense is not good. There's some optimism because of the additions, both on the trade market and, getting guys back from injury. So they should be better than what the Eagles saw in week 1 from an offensive perspective, from a defensive perspective. But it's not like they have a upside of being lights out. I mean, it's still a defense that's going to give up big plays and or susceptible to giving up big plays. I'm not sure the Eagles will stress that because, as we said, they play a certain style and they're going to continue to play that certain style. But if the running game gets going, I think that's the biggest key. Get the running game going. And we'll see if they can do it.
Good stuff there. We got Oscar coming up in a couple seconds here. 2 more super chats we're going to get to, and then we're going to go to Oscar Budajin coming up next. Moonlight says, do you think they're going to put Q Mitchell on CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens?
Yeah, I talked about that earlier in the week. I think it's more likely Pickens only because CD moves inside. They're not going to move a lot. He moves inside. They don't move Quignon inside. They only toggle him side to side. So he wouldn't be moving with CD in the slot when he goes in the slot anyway. So from that perspective, my thought is it'll be easier to do with Pickens. And I think Pickens is having the better year, so maybe that's not a bad thing.
Good stuff there. Let's go to Dwayne. What's up, Dwayne? He says, in a weird way, I feel more confident if we had to play the Rams in LA than in Philly. I feel better if Jalen played in LA in January than in Philly.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I think they could beat them at either spot, to be honest, because I think they're in the Rams' head. I really do. Rams' collective head. But, I mean, look, they had, the road to Super Bowl 52 went through Lincoln Financial Field. The road to Super Bowl 57 went through Lincoln Financial Field. The road to Super Bowl, the Super Bowl last season, even though it wasn't supposed to, ended up going through Lincoln Financial Field. They made the Super Bowl each time. I would want the game at Lincoln Financial Field.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Good stuff there, Dwayne. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate everybody checking in today. A lot of good commentary. Big NFC East matchup this weekend. Let's go to our main man, Oscar Budijan, who joins us right now here on Birds 365. You can follow him at Oscar Budijan. Oscar, welcome to the program, my friend. How you doing this morning?
Happy Friday, guys. What's going on? What's
Oscar!
the drama today?
Yeah, the boys.
Any new dramas?
By the way, I saw your Collegeville bakery. You and Jeff Kerr, friend of the show, going there. They made
Jeff
Oscar.
Kerr.
Yeah, you get the. I'm like, if I can get that kind of prestige, they could get me to come over the bridge. But it's
you
not
should. I mean, I was looking for you the other day, and I couldn't see you. What's going on here? Amazing, guys.
Good to see you, Oscar. All right, let's talk about it. Eagles, Cowboys. It's always a little bit more juice. I don't know if it's the same as it has been because the Cowboys have not been a very good team over the past year. So,
sure.
If one team's great and one team's underwater, it tends to put a little bit of a damper on those rivalries. But you see the star, and what does it say for Oscar? How big is this week for you?
Look, it's a game within the division. We know how hard they are. When you look at Prescott and his numbers are amazing at home. I mean, 21-2 over the last whatever number of years. He's won 18 in a row within the division at home. Look, he hasn't played in a number of those games, and that's what we've had taken advantage of. Look, I think there is something with Jalen Carter in this game. This is the revenge game for Jalen Carter. I do believe he's going to make a huge statement. I believe this is going to be a lower scoring game than a lot of people think. I do believe
a lot of people going that way. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I think the defense internally, both teams have improved significantly. The issues the Eagles have had in the offensive line and having Quinn Williams running in the middle is going to create havoc, as well as Jalen Carter. I do believe that there's going to be some dynamics there about both of the defensive lines kind of doing their thing. I do believe the Cowboys are vulnerable through the air, and that's going to be kind of the big question mark. Can we throw? And it's going to be a big question mark. I do believe it's going to be a low scoring game. Maybe I see potentially a game that is going to run maybe 2017, 21-17. It could go either way. That's the way I see it. I think the Eagles defense have been playing unbelievable. Yeah. And look, Jalen, it's a very interesting guy. He plays to win, right? He's going to play to win. I wish the game would be like we did last year. Or was it? I don't remember the score. Was it 36-20, something like that? I mean, or
yeah, they blew him out. Yeah,
I mean,
that was Cooper Rush, though, I believe. Cooper was it Cooper?
The
Was
one
that
and
last
only.
year? No.
Yeah, I think it was
No.
Cooper. I think it was
Yeah.
Cooper Rush. Look, it's going to be a game that I think the Quinion Mitchell acquisition was a huge acquisition. I mean, it's as big as Phillips for us. I mean, Phillips have looked incredible. The other thing we don't talk about enough is about Nakobe Dean. We were vulnerable to the ground, and since Nakobe Dean has kind of come in over the last 3 games, the running game for other teams have not been getting. I mean, we saw Gibbs last week. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. I mean, that guy, if you ask me, he's probably the best running back in football. And it's not even close. I mean, it reminded me last week in a couple of the plays that he was Barry Sanders. I mean, different size, but I mean, the guy was unbelievable the way he went on the field. Look, I see it a tie game. I see it a very, very tight game, and I think the defensive lines, particularly the defensive ends, are going to play a huge game, and I think Jalen Carter could be the deciding factor here with his revenge game.
Oscar, what do you make of the offense, man? You mentioned it there with some of the controversies that have gone on. The one thing that keeps happening, Oscar, is the Eagles keep winning. Now, the drama keeps popping up. I think the offense, by everybody's metrics, is a little bit underwhelming. But they have a philosophy, and they're sticking to it because it's winning, and I understand that. What do you make of the offense so far this year?
Yeah, this is not synchronized swimming, guys, where teams win based on styling points and all that.
Style point. Got to get a 9.5 on the offense this week.
Look, we're since 2020, 51-14. I mean, under Jalen Hurts' leadership and serenity, we're 6-2. I mean, Hurts has been 6-2 since 2022 in playoff games. I mean, if you go back to the Tampa game, is 6-3. I mean, this guy's a winner, and he's going to find a way to win no matter how. To me, if you ask me, the biggest, when you look at the stats last year versus this year, and I came here last time and you asked me, what is your biggest concern? And I said, look, you're bringing an offensive coordinator that was a passing coach. I mean, the passing coordinator that was 28th in the league. And right now, we're 29th or whatever the number is on passing. I mean, look, you're maintaining. I think the biggest difference is our running game, and the lack of production of our running game is staggering. When I look at, I mean, we talk about, I see Saquon. I saw it in the preseason. I saw how he ran in the preseason. I saw how he's running. He ran very hard last week. I mean, he ran very, very hard. There were not a lot of, I mean, there was a couple plays that he made that were big plays. But other than that, I mean, he ran very, very hard. I like Tank when the change of pace. I want to see a little bit more of that, kind of the 80-20 rule between Barkley and Tank, and maybe we get something going there. But our lack of production on the running game is the biggest difference between last year and this year. Well, when you look at yards, I mean, when you look at yards of in the passing game, I mean, they're basically 193.5 versus 199.5. There's no difference. I mean, the passing game is no different.
I know. I'm glad you point that out. I say it all
we're
the
actually
time.
going to score more in the air. We're projecting to go 37 touchdown and 5 turnovers in case of Jalen Hurts. 37-5 versus last year was 32-10. So the production in the air, it's about the same or slightly ahead of last year. The issue is we were running at a pace where we ran 100. We ran at 179 miles, 170 yards per game. This year is 115. Yeah. 125 for Barkley last year. This year is 66.2. Barkley's projecting to score 13 touchdowns. I mean, last year he got 13 touchdowns. This year he's projecting 7. So the lack of production there. Now the question you ask is why? I don't think it's Barkley. I think Barkley looks healthy to me. I think the issue is in our offensive line. The offensive line is just not there. Becton versus Steen, the running game is being impacted by that. The health of everyone from Dickerson to Lane Johnson to Cam Jurgens. I mean, you look at the PFF numbers, and they're significantly down than they were last year. Significantly, particularly in the running game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's tough. They had an historic running season, obviously the greatest season for an individual player in history when you include the postseason with Saquon Barkley. So it was always going to be tough to duplicate that, but to sink to the level they have, I think is the problem. I'm glad you brought up Lane because we should have brought up Lane earlier. Lane's not going to play.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, Oscar, now we always talk about winning, and you just gave the numbers with Jalen Hurts. Tremendous numbers. When he's on the field, the Eagles generally win football games. Well, if we want to lean on that, we also have to look at when Lane Johnson isn't on the field, the Eagles don't win football games. To
12
the
and
point
23.
12 and 23. Think about that. 12 and 23. And I'll add in the context of all these struggles you talked about were with Lane Johnson. Now, yes, he had to leave some games early and he's been banged up. Now you're not going to have him at all. And if they can't fix the problems with Lane Johnson, how in the heck are they going to fix the problems without Lane Johnson?
Well, here comes Fred Johnson. I thought, one of the things that I mentioned this week is, to me, Fred Johnson is the second most important acquisition how we have made this offseason or during the season after Phillips. Look, the guy has been a very servable tackle for us. When Lane went down last year, he came in and played a couple games for him. I do believe he's servable. He does his job. When you don't hear his name, it's good news. And he's better in pass pro than running. So than run blocking. But so it'll be very, very interesting. It'll be very, very interesting. I do believe the impact of Lane was significantly bigger a few years ago than now. In terms of when he's missed games, I think we played a little bit. The difference have not been like in the past. In the past, it was tremendous. I think Fred Johnson has done his job. And look, I think we're going to go back. And I know you mentioned, can Barkley do it again? And I think we're going to rely back on our passing game to be able to win this game and put a lot in Jalen Hurts' pocket to be able to help us win the game.
Oscar, talk to me about Kevin Petula. What's your perspective, man? He's a hotbed name in Philadelphia. A lot of different perspectives. What is your perspective on Kevin Petula?
I laugh a little bit when I hear that he's one of the hottest candidates for head coaching.
Well, I should have brought that up. He was on Tom Pelissero's list, his annual list. Glad you brought that up, Oscar.
Yeah, Ben Johnson was there before, and some others have been there before. Look, I go back to, I heard Greg Cosell said this week something like he was totally confused at the fact that the Eagles passing game looks like a ninth grader passing game, both in terms of concepts and pass and route combination. Look, and you look at, and I love to go to the numbers, right? Smitty production is about the same of last year, 64 yards per game versus 67. His production in terms of total touchdown, he's spreading the ball. I think Goddard has had a few more touchdowns than he had in the past. He's projecting about 12 touchdowns this year, which is great. Smitty had 8 last year. He's projecting to have 5. The biggest gap in production is AJ. 83 yards last year, 51 this year. He doesn't look like the same guy. He looks, and to me, it's a couple of things, right? There might be something physically, or he might have lost a step. But the other thing, his body language, I hate it, to be honest with you. I don't like that. I hate his body language in the game. He doesn't look to me like he's fighting as he fought before. He's giving up in some of the plays because he doesn't trust the dynamics and all that. So AJ needs to play it out this year. It's going to be the best for him. You imagine, let's just use this thought for a second. Imagine he gets traded to Arizona. Is he going to be happy with the quarterback dynamic there? He's not going to be happy. So the question is going to be, play it out, man. You never know what you have until you lose it. You're right now in a winning team. You're a key component of that winning team. I've heard you a number of times, John, talk about, Barkley and AJ are 2 best players. To me, I put Hurts as our best player. because we win because of Jalen. I mean, if it wasn't because of Jalen and finding a way to win, we wouldn't win a lot of the games that we win. So I do believe Jalen deserves a lot more credit than what he gets, because he gets it done. I mean, no matter, it might not look pretty. Sometimes he's going to run. Sometimes he's going to make a pass. Did a lot of the passes by Jalen don't look pretty? Great. I mean, is he off target many times? He's not a good anticipator guy. I mean, look, he has a lot of faults as a quarterback, but he wins. And that's the only thing that I care about. And that's the only thing we should all care about, because if we would be in Arizona, Atlanta, it would be many of the markets. I mean, Jacksonville, I mean, we would not be as happy as we're here. So I do believe that we're spoiled to a certain extent.
Yeah, well, that we agree with. Certainly from that standpoint. Now, to your point, about this Cowboys team, and look, they are what they are. They're a very good offense. So I think it's strength versus strength, offense of the Cowboys, defense of the Eagles. And they have a very bad defense, and the Eagles offense has been pedestrian. But you mentioned you're a numbers guy. So here's the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. They're averaging 35.3 points per game. 35.3 points per game. Second in yards per game, 414. So they pile up 414 yards, and they score 35 points a game. And I got a bunch of people, including Oscar Budashin, who I have tremendous respect for, telling me this team can't score 20 points at home. Where's the disconnect there, Oscar?
William Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, both on Pickens and Land. Look, I like Williams, by the way. I mean, he's done a tremendous job for them.
He's had a good year. Yep.
That was the biggest question for me on the Cowboys. Who's going to run that football? And I mean, Williams have been unbelievable. He has 200 more yards or 150 more yards than Barkley, and 4 more touchdowns than him, which is like head scratching. And I know that Jalen takes a few of the touchdowns from Barkley, but look, I do believe I trust our defense. I mean, what they did, the bigger question for me on the Eagles, with all this drama that happens every week, last week was Barkley, this week it Hurts, is that taking away from our focus, which needs to be the Cowboys? And because of our 2 wins the last 2 weeks, I mean, could this be a down game for us? That's my biggest concern. Are we prepared to play the Cowboys the way Sirianni normally prepares our teams to be ready for the following week? And that to me is the biggest question on this game. But defensively, I think we're a lead now. I think the combination of Phillips and the revenge game by Carter, the way you see Ohomo playing hard every day, Jordan Davis. I mean, it's amazing how many we find a way to win. I mean, if it's a block field goal or a block pass, or I mean, what was it? A block punt by Sidney Brown in Tampa. But look, our offense needs to be more consistent to be able to be more effective. And I do agree that we're not going to be able to make it. Look, we're not beating the Rams in a playoff game like we did last year. I mean, hopefully it'll be snow. It'll be even a tougher snow game than last time.
I don't know, Oscar. Like, my question is starting to become, as you pointed out earlier, this isn't synchronized swimming, and we have knocked off. Look, I get it. The offense is ugly to me. We've knocked off the Rams. We've knocked off the Chiefs. We've knocked off the Lions. We've knocked off the Packers. We beat the Cowboys. I mean, we've beaten all of these teams. That's no guarantee you beat them in the playoffs, but have we found the recipe that doesn't even require this offense to be better? Is that just a simple want and not a need for this team?
I think it's a mindset. I think we have a winning mindset no matter what. I saw this morning the Mike. We talked bad about the team, and I mean, John, you see him on the when you go to the locker rooms there at NovaCare and you see them there. I got to make myself available there now that the Phillies season is over. I don't have any more excuses outside of my consulting work. But look, when you see him, this team plays together. This team, look at it. I mean, check out the mic and check out the dynamics there. I mean, Devonta did not have a good game last game, but he's pulling for his team. I mean, for his teammates, and he's finding a way around it. This team has a winning mentality. This team knows how to win. They believe in each other, and they know that something good is going to happen for them to win a game. I mean, we went to Lambeau Field. I mean, under those weather conditions, and we found a way. I mean, we were going to lose the games against the Rams. We blocked the kid and we returned the kick, and we find a way to win. I mean, the Tampa game, we played such a awful second half.
Yeah.
But it was the block punt. I mean, we just find a way to win, and it's amazing. And if it's not one guy, I mean, it's Uncle Fangio doing his magic. I mean, we just find a way. I mean, Fangio is incredible, guys. I mean, there are no words to describe what Fangio is. I mean, it's like, I mean, look, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm a big Vic fan, but. As Vic will tell you, it's the players first, and you guys are amping it up at the right time. I mean, Jalen Carter playing good football, Jordan Davis, player of the week. As you mentioned, Jalen Phillips, perfect fit for this team. Jalen Hunt, with, less pressure, is playing better than he ever has. Nakobe Dean,
Nakobe. I mean, give a lot of credit. That kid plays hard, man. He
brings energy, physicality. Zach Bond is like he's like just a constant. He's just a great player
and he can do everything. By the way, he can do everything in the field.
Yeah. Quinyon's going to be a first-team All-Pro if he finishes like the way he started this season. Cooper DeJean's the best slot cornerback. I think Makuba's getting better. This defense is really good, really good.
And the other thing, John, I think one of the biggest question marks for me or puzzling, why hasn't Stoutland found a way? Because the offensive line.
Well, I think you hit the nail. I think guys are banged up. Yeah. So we all focused on Saquon and the 482 touches. Maybe it had a bigger impact on the offensive line than it had on Saquon. The punishment to do what they did in such a long season, 21 games.
But I see him running hard. So I'm seeing making, moves, and I don't.
Well, no, I'm saying the offensive line, the punishment the offensive line took, because remember, you got to be really physical to open those holes, and when you're maybe beating people up on film, you're also getting beat up yourself. And look, Cam Jurgens isn't the same guy. Landon Dickerson isn't the same guy. Lane Johnson struggled with injuries before he was out, and now he's going to be out for at least 4 to 6 weeks.
I was preparing for the game. I'm going to give you the difference between last year and this year in terms of rush blocking. 94.9 for Mailata last year, 75.6 this year. PFF numbers. Landon Dickerson, 79.4 run blocking last year, 69 this year, 10 points less. Jurgens, 68.5 to 63.6. Steen, comparing Becton versus him, 74.7. I think that's a huge miss, by the way. Becton, we're missing Becton big time, to 63.2, 74.2. So everything is like 10 points less in terms of grades. And then Lane Johnson, 84.4, 85.4 to 67.8. Look, their run blocking grades are significantly down than last year. And look, it's a shame. It is a shame. I don't think it's Barkley. Maybe he might be a half a step off or something like that, but it's look, and that's why I'm telling you, I would have thought Stoutland could have, as a running back coordinator, or play call, whatever, passer or coordinator. Let's just put it that way.
Run game coordinator,
yeah, game coordinator. I thought he would have been he would have found a way to be much more effective. Maybe the change of pace with Tank Bigsby could be something that they could start using a little bit more.
Well, I think they got a little bit better when they started rolling out those big Fred packages with the extra offensive linemen with Fred. But now Fred's got to play right tackle, so now it's got to be Matt Pryor. Even that's getting affected. It's been that kind of year for the Eagles in the running game. But what they do, I mean, they still win games, as you pointed.
Cameron Latu. That's one guy that I want to see more playing on offense.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange that they don't play him at tight end. He's a tight end by coming out of college in Alabama. He's a tight end. He played tight end. He's a natural tight end. And they moved him to fullback when Ben Van Sumeren got hurt. And they've struggled, really. That's another underrated part of it. The tight ends can't block in the running game at all, except for Dallas Goedert. Grant Calcaterra's been bad. Kylan Granson's been bad. Why not put Cam Latu? Let him play fullback and tight end. I agree.
I was talking to Ricky Ricardo, our dear friend Ricky Ricardo, my partner, the other day. He said, "Look, when I look at Zach Ertz and I look at all the plays that he continues to make, we could use Zach Ertz here, not as a blocker, but we could be using Zach Ertz here as the second tight end. I mean, you imagine the combination of Goddard and Zach Ertz. I mean, our offense would be a lot more effective than it is today."
No doubt about it. Oscar, good stuff, man. Good breakdown of the game. Who do you got this weekend? Eagles on the road.
You already picked the Eagles.
I said 21-17. I'll pull it. This is going to be Thursday loss. So
21-17. I'm shocked how many people are going so low on this score. We got a bunch of listeners who went low on the score as well.
Well, that's the way the Eagles play. They don't play a high-powered offense. So, and part of me thinks that it's right. I mean, look at, somebody just pointed out in the chat. Did you see the Texans last night? Great defense, risk-averse offense, and you win the football game. I think that's what they're going to keep doing.
The Texans do have a good defense. Man, that front, woo. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. Oof, oof, oof.
Was it 8 sacks yesterday? I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. Oscar Budajin. Make sure you follow Oscar on the X platform. He's the voice of not only the Eagles with our buddy Ricky Ricardo, as he just mentioned, but also the Phillies.
It's a little cold today. How about that? I only had this one out there.
Yeah. You got the Philly tuxedo on. You got the Phillies on. You got the Eagles on. You're rocking the Phillies.
Hey, I got to wear it while we can, right?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Oscar, thanks for joining in, man. We appreciate you doing it. As always, great breakdown. And I think your point on the offensive line is something that's maybe being overlooked. It was well taken here on Birds 365. Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate it, man.
Blessed weekend, guys. Take care. Go Birds.
Thanks, Oscar.
There's Oscar Budajin joining us right here on Birds 365. Great stuff there from Oscar. We got about 15 minutes left to play here on Birds 365 on a football Friday. Plenty of stuff here to talk about. I got some super chats to get to. I want everybody in the chat to drop your score predictions. You can save them for Zander time if you want. We'll do that as well. Let's go to some super chats here. Rizlo, what's up, Rizlo? We have seasoned coaches on defense. Could the problem be we don't have seasoned coaches on offense and use running backs like Sonic and Knuckles?
Jeff Stoutland, Jason Michael, Aaron Moorhead, Nick Sirianni. I mean, these guys are proven commodities. Kevin's been around for 15 years in this league.
Is there any red flag there that took him that long to become an offensive coordinator?
No, he's still a young guy.
Yeah, I mean, 44, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a typical trajectory. Now it's getting younger, I think. So maybe now guys get on the accelerated path, but he's still very young. Now defensively, you have, obviously Vic is an elder statesman, 1985. I can say that as a fellow old guy, but Bobby King is no different than, Stoutland would be number 2 behind Fangio as far as experience. So no, I don't. Yeah. You're basically boiling it. If you boil it down to Vic versus Kevin, yes, Vic has more experience, but I mean, if you're talking about the entire coaching staff.
Did you take the AJ's comments yesterday as a little bit of, not a shot, but maybe a different direction of where he put some of the, I don't like using the word blame, but just like some of the site.
No, because when he said KP, that's a KP question. They're all doing that. Jalen did it the same as well.
Yeah, but what about the question? What about the comment about Saquon?
Well, that was about his health and the point of he's 100%. And Saquon says he's 100%, and even
both of them are having less productive years.
Yeah, even though they're not, by the way, nobody is in the NFL at this stage. But obviously, there's some pride from that perspective. So I think it's natural. I say this all the time. Nobody wants to criticize the players when it comes to the fan base, and certainly the players are not going to admit that they're not the same. So if Saquon hasn't lost anything, if AJ hasn't lost anything, and they're verbalizing that, they both have verbalized that pretty consistently. So then it's the coach's fault. The coaches, fans aren't buying Kevin Patullo jerseys. They're not even buying Vic Fangio jerseys. I mean, they're not as invested in the coaching staff as they are in the players. So that's just common sense. But no, I think the standpoint of that's a KP, and I've already talked about this with the coaching staff as a whole. I mean, they're more concerned with protecting players from the negative comments than themselves, because it's part of their job and that's how they want it to go. In other words, if you're going to shit on somebody, shit on the coaches. That's actually what they want, because they're grown 45, 44-year-old people. They can handle it better, or at least they think they can.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, the way I took that though, that was the first time I thought, like, okay, he's like showing you, one, there's hypocrisy. Two, Saquon and AJ both lost it, or is the offensive players just?
Well, as Oscar pointed out, the passing game's exactly the same. It's eerie. It's almost exactly.
Do they have as many numbers wise? It is. Do they have as many explosive plays? I think from the eye test, it doesn't look like they do. But I don't know what the numbers are.
Well, they don't have it.
Last year, remember, they did have the explosive plays. Somebody tweeted this to us yesterday. They were like,
yeah, but how many of those explosive plays were running plays?
Well, that's true. But last year, the philosophy has been win the turnover battle, win the explosive play battle. Those are the two key metrics the Eagles have always subscribed to. They're winning the turnover battle, obviously. Are they winning the explosive play battle this year? I don't know if you have any.
Not as consistently. They're losing it more often, but again, the difference is not the passing game; it's the running game. They had so many explosives in the running game. They have no explosives basically in the running game this year. Other than the 65-yard touchdown for Saquon. It's been not great. Then you got a couple 20-yarders from Tank recently. Jalen occasionally chips in, but their explosive plays in the running game are way down, off a cliff compared to last year, and that's been the issue more than not. Again, I'm not saying the passing game is good. What I'm saying is the passing game has never been good. What has shifted in the passing game is the production. From AJ to more Devontae, more Dallas. Dallas has already got a career high in touchdown receptions. But the numbers per game are eerily similar in the passing game. It never existed. Other than little pockets, which they still have little pockets. They have the pocket in Minnesota. Right. The halves in Tampa and the half against the Rams. They have these little pockets of explosiveness. Same thing as last year. Again, the Green Bay game, where everybody's saying this is the worst passing offense in the history of football. It's so ugly. They had 7 worse games last year than what they had in Green Bay.
Yeah. I think it's just like, I don't know. I think sometimes we just like try and figure out what's wrong, and it's very simple. It's like they were turning the ball over in 23. They turned it over at the beginning of 24. Then they decided to be more risk averse, avoid the turnovers, and they've been on a run ever since. And they haven't stopped. They haven't stopped winning. So there's been no reason to really change it. And that's what we're getting right now on offense. I don't know if it's on Patullo or Nick or whoever you want to put it on, but I don't think they care who it's on because they keep winning.
Yeah, well, definitely that's their approach. Yeah. So the point, I should have brought that up earlier in the week because it was funny, but Tom Pelissero putting Patullo in the top 25 future coaches, and he is, by the way. Tom's 100% right, because if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, he'll get interviews, and as I've said, he's going to win people over. And statistically, Kellen Moore had his worst year of his career last year as a coordinator, and he's a head coach in this league. You do the math.
Fair enough. Josh B checks in. What's up, Josh B? Keep Grant, can't block. I'm terrible off the field, and we will immediately be better. He gets blown up every play.
Yeah, it's not a good block. I don't understand why. I agree. I don't know why he plays as much as he does. But no, I don't think he's not playing Grant Calcaterra is not going to fix the problem. But I will agree that he plays more than he should, especially when it's not a high volume passing offense. So in a backup tight end in this system, you should want a blocker, and you have Cam Latu, who has at least shown an affinity for it as a fullback and a special teams player. And he's a big physical guy. I don't know why they haven't pulled that trigger. So I agree with that. But the guy's played 234 snaps. He doesn't play a lot. But I agree with, other guys are better for the role. And I'm not sure why they don't pull that trigger other than Cam is playing fullback, and I guess they don't want to put too much on his plate when he's trying to learn a different position is the only thing I can think of.
Yep, fair enough. Josh B, thanks for the super brother. Here's Joshua again. Joshua, thanks for the support today. Appreciate it. He says, Eagles are risk averse, relying on talent over scheming open. These few open receivers force Hurts to play safe, frustrating teammates. Straight jacket. Yeah, I agree.
Well, they his risk averse nature has always been there. They've just amplified it. I mean, it goes back to his dad who taught him, I talk about it all the time. His dad
feels like, John, it feels like everybody, and all Eagles fans, me included, have to just like reset our expectation of the offense, because we have this expectation that they want to go out there and like be high.
Yeah, they don't want it.
They don't even. It doesn't even feel like they want to be.
They don't
want to be in the top 5 offense. They don't even want to be in the top 10. They just want to limit the turnovers, play their game, take the explosive plays when they come, and get
they want to be better, but no, they don't want to be a high volume passing offense. Not with this quarterback. They don't. They want to accentuate his strengths, and they've done that.
Yeah, but you don't think he has other strengths they could be accentuating better? I mean,
no. Well, yeah, they want to accentuate better. They want to get better, but they're never going to be what Dallas is right now in the passing offense.
I don't think we want them to be that, but I think there are. Look, the philosophy.
I disagree. I disagree when you say maybe you don't want it, but I think everybody thinks, why aren't they Dallas? Why they have better talent? Why can't they do what Dallas does offensively in the passing game and not turn it over and have a great running game? It's unrealistic, number one, but number two, they have the ability to be a more efficient offense than Dallas because they're going to take care of the football. But they don't have the ability to throw the football like Dallas. They don't. Even if they tried, they don't. Even with the players that they have, they don't. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's fair. They're going to continue playing this game, guys. They're winning a lot, so everybody should just start to accept basically that the offense is what it is. I think the one thing that I would say realistically that I'd like to see improve for the offense is just the 3 and outs. Like the 3 and out thing is, to me, puts a lot of strain on your defense, and I think that's a very reasonable thing to expect them to
Well,
approve
that's the
while
biggest.
not
That's what
asking them
they're.
to change their philosophy.
That's what they're trying to fix. The negative plays. The negative plays is what they're trying to fix. Because when they don't have negative plays and they stay on schedule, they're pretty efficient offense. But they have way too many negative plays. And like Dallas, again, fewest negative plays in the NFL. So when you're 2nd and 5 instead of 2nd and 12, that makes a big flipping difference for all the scheming people. There aren't a lot of efficient offenses operating 2nd and 12, 3rd and 12 anywhere. Now, is Detroit at Ford Field more capable of converting 3rd and 12? Sure. Are they going to do it efficiently? No, not even Detroit in a pristine environment. That's the goal of any defense. 3rd and long. 3rd and short, you don't know what the hell to do as a defense. If you can run the ball, if you have play, you don't know what to do. And the Eagles have had far too many negative plays, far too many times off schedule, and that's what they're trying to fix.
Fair enough. One more super chat and we'll get you out of here. Johnny Mack, Josh B says, I think most want even last year's route concepts over this. We abandoned even simple stuff we did last year, crossing routes, pick plays, etc.
Yeah, again, I think you guys are way too focused on 2 games that were weather centric. Go look at Minnesota. Go look at the Giants. Go look at those games. Go look at the halves. Go look at the halves against the Rams and the Bucks. The good halves, not the bad halves.
The Giants game is where they feel like, and I know it's the Giants, but it did feel like they opened up the offense.
They've been, I would argue, they've been more creative than they've ever been under Nick Sirianni. And you can see that in the red zone. You can see the tweaks. But again, nobody's judging creativity or route concepts. They're judging production. Same thing as play calls. You're not judging play calls. You're judging play results. I don't care if nobody knows it. I will say to the end of the earth, till the day I'm put in the box. You're not judging play calls. You're judging play results. And a whole bunch of shit can go wrong that turns a good play call into a bad play call. That turns a good scheme into a bad scheme. That turns a good route concept into a bad route concept. The play over the middle of the field when I think it was AJ and Dallas that were so close together. How do you know that one of those 2 players didn't fuck it up? Because I guarantee you one of those 2 players fucked it up.
Yeah, but like, how do you reason with like Greg Cosell is like, this is a 9th grade offense. These routes.
I don't know. Wait, and I'm not picking up
because you're saying they're creative. Like, I don't think anybody who's watching thinks they're more creative than last year. Now, maybe you think that.
What's more logical? And I'm not picking on Greg Cosell, but anybody wants to talk about it. And I talked about this with an Eagles executive yesterday with Dan, because Dan Orlovsky was defending Jalen Hurts. And he said the same thing I said. He said, this guy's 4 weeks ago, he's killing the guy. But 4 weeks later, he's defending the guy. He's the best. He's the biggest winner. Great 9th grade offense. Think about that. What's more fucking credible? That guys who've been in the NFL for 15 years are running a 9th grade off. Does that make sense to you at any level? Seriously. You're telling me
it makes sense that
you're telling me Nick Sirianni's been in the NFL for as long as he has and has this. By the way, if he's running a 9th grade offense, why can't these other coaches that are better than him ever beat him? And I know people say, well, he's got more talent. Well, then I guess it doesn't matter. How long is Jeff Stoutland? Jeff Stoutland's going to the Hall of Fame as an assistant coach. He's already won the PFWA Lifetime Achievement Award as an assistant coach. Aaron Moorhead's been here for years, having the most success for any wide receiver group in Philadelphia Eagles history. He's turned into a bad coach. Jason Michael's been an offensive coordinator in this league, one of the best tight end coaches. This is the offensive staff. They're running a ninth grade offense. What's more credible?
Well, hasn't the risk averse approach created a little bit of a offense that's doesn't do those other things? All those other things that people are looking for, John, are risky.
Look, the risk averse offense is a real thing. I just take obsession with people that say really, really dumb things and people latch on to them and don't look at it from a common sense perspective. That people in the NFL don't know what a hot route is. That people in the NFL can't draw up a crossing route. That people in the NFL, successful people, are running a ninth grade offense. It doesn't make sense at a ninth grade level, education level. It doesn't make sense at any level. Now, I'm not saying it's me, and I'm sure he believes it in the moment, but there's some emotion there. Like, you can't really believe that from a logical standpoint. And I think if you explain it to anybody who says that, they'll go, oh, yeah, I probably went too far. Because, I mean, boy, that is an indictment of every coach in the NFL. They can't beat this fucking team that runs that bullshit offense. Think about how bad those guys are. Think about how bad those guys are. So what are we doing here? But I got to go. I got to get down to talk to the ninth grade head coach of this team. But
what's on the agenda real quick? Nick, and then practice, and then done. They got to walk through tomorrow.
Yeah, Nick practice, locker room, walk through tomorrow, head to Dallas.
Yep. Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. Appreciate you doing it today. We'll talk to you on Sunday for the game. Thank you, man.
All right, thanks all.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Good show today from Johnny Mac. Two great guests. I want to thank Oscar Budajin in hour number 2 and John Machota in hour number 1. I always like to go behind enemy lines. I know some people don't like hearing about the other team. I like giving it to you guys about the other team. I think it's a good perspective. And I thought John Machota brought some great points about an outside perspective on the Philadelphia Eagles where, you guys, you're winning a lot, And look, I said it to Prince in the chat a couple minutes ago. I'm done bitching about the offense. All right. I got people out here trying to assassinate my character, creating all sorts of narratives about me because I've been critical of people. It is what it is, guys. We win a lot of games. We don't try and push the ball on offense because they've established that being risk averse is more advantageous to winning. It is what it is. All right. If you want to bitch about it, you can do it in the chat by all means, as you always do. But I'm not going to sit up here and bitch about it every single day. Let's see what they can do this weekend. I got 27-20. The Eagles will win. Keith, I hear you. F this goofy offense. I get it, man. I get it. All right. I completely get it. I'm just saying it is what it is. I'm not going to come up here every day and bitch about the offense when we keep winning and everybody wants to go to extremes with it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And at the end of the day, football to me and talking about football and being critical ain't worth some of the shit that you get for it. So it is what it is. What are your guys' score predictions for the game, man? That's what I want to know. What are your guys' score predictions for the game? We'll do a short Xander time today. I'm not going to go very long. We did 2 giveaways yesterday, so we appreciate it. All right, we appreciate it. Catch, if you don't want to be here, get the fuck out of here, dude. Nobody gives a shit. All right, you're bitching to me on Twitter. I got blocked. Now you want to come in here and say the show. Go watch the old Birds 365's, Catch. Nobody needs you to fucking be here. All right. What are the score predictions? Twiz says 31-17. Looks like a Cowboy. All right. Looks like a Cowboy. 24-17. I'm assuming you're saying Birds. 17-14. Eagles sticking with it. Abe, not a bad score prediction considering the offense doesn't try and move the ball. 17-10. 30-20. I had 27-20, Alfredo. So I think that's fair. 30-20 makes some sense to me. 30 is a big output, but I think they could get it with the defense. 24-14 Birds. All right, Todd, I don't hate that score. 16-10 Eagles win. 27-10. Damn, Flex, you got a big defensive performance for the Birds. A lot of Eagles picks. I like it. I think everybody's realistic with a lot of these picks, though. I mean, we don't score that much on offense because we just don't try and push the ball that much. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. 27-20. That's exactly my score, Ray. 27-20 was my score as well. Prince says 56-17 Eagles. 28-20 Eagles. Hey, Primo, I like it, man. I got 27-20, so we're right in the same ballpark here. 27-24 Birds. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Good score. Superman was humbled last night. Yeah, Josh Allen. Look, he didn't have much talent on that team helping him, but yeah, he didn't have his best performance. All right, he didn't have his best performance. Joel says 62-3. Reyes to a new level. 24-17 Birds. 1 int from Hurts. I'm not predicting an int. I don't think the Cowboys defense is the team to get an int from an interception on Jalen this weekend. I don't think that's happening. HKP 17-13. Man, that'd be a good defensive performance. Boy, I do think the Cowboys offense can move the ball. Now, I don't think they're going to score a whole lot. I think 20 points is good. But that's why I got 27-20. I don't know. 13. Dude, if you hold the Cowboys to 13 points in Dallas, in Jerry's world, for that offense that does move the ball well, regardless of what you want to say. That defense, man, that would be it's time to start talking about this defense as being a duplicate or replicating what they were able to accomplish last year, which would be tremendous. I mean, put a Vic Fangio. If the Eagles are able to play defensively that well all year to that level, put a Vic Fangio statue up, man. Put a Vic Fangio statue up. I mean, he's amazing. He is amazing, Vic Fangio, what he's been able to do with this team. All right. Who's coming at Zan? Prince, all over, brother. It's all over the place. We have one guy in this chat. He's making YouTube videos. I'm a racist guy because I'm critical of Jalen Hurts. Like, all right, whatever, bro. But again, that's my point, Prince. Like, this is my business. I'm going to do my talk shows, but I'm not going to come up here and it's not that important to me. Somebody said I don't get emotional about, they were making fun of me because one time I said I don't get emotional about football. I care about football for the passion I have for my business. I'm not going to go take football to the level of people slandering my character and my person and all of those different things and my reputation because they don't like what I say about the team, It's not that. It doesn't matter that much to me. It really doesn't. So here's Joshua. Joshua, thanks for the super chats today, bro. I appreciate it, man. All right, I appreciate it. A.J. Brown set an NFL record with 6 125-yard games and one in 2023. Guess who the QB was? Now people act like you can't do anything with Hurts. Only QB 158.3. Well, Joshua, I think you have a good point. I don't think the 158.3 thing is as good of a point as the other thing. I don't. I mean, that 158.3 did come this year. It came in a small sample size. One game. It was an amazing game. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the consistent offense that they've done. The 125 every game, that was a large sample size. That was a consistent output for Jalen and the offense. I think the switch is this. 23, they had a lot of turnovers. 24, remember they started the year 2-2, 7 turnovers in 4 games. They then said, remember the Lane Johnson meeting with the coaches, all of that crap. They said, let's go risk averse, and they've won at an unprecedented clip since they've made that switch. They're not switching back. So, Joshua, I get what you're saying. My whole thing is I don't even think they're trying to go back to that. They're good in what they're doing. AJ can bitch. Jalen can get heat. As long as Jalen doesn't turn the football over and the defense plays like this and they can capitalize on some of the opportunities when they come. That's what they're going to keep doing. I don't think they're even trying to play that brand of football anymore. That's what they're not trying to play that brand of football anymore. That's why I said I'm not even going to bitch about it anymore because they're not trying to do what I'm asking them to do. They're not even trying to do it. They don't want to do it. They don't think it's a bit more beneficial to winning. This is it. You're going to have good games here and there. There's going to be some up and down moments, as you've seen all year. Rams game, awful first half, great second half. Bucks game, great first half, awful second half. Vikings game, masterclass. Giants game, masterclass. First Giants game, shit show. It's going to be inconsistent. It is what it is. But if they don't turn the football over, they win the turnover battle. The defense plays good. We win games. That's what we've become. Now, I think there's a bigger macro question of how hard is it going to be to keep your talent in the building? How hard is it going to be to keep everybody happy? I mean, shit, if you're Jalen Hurts, don't you got to be getting tired of it? And just from a sense of people are shitting on him too. A.J. Brown, people are saying he lost a step. He's not going to get any all-pro, Pro Bowl accolades. How does he feel about that personally? Devontae Smith, same thing. I know people are saying he's on a great pace. They're not using him to like they could be using him, though. That, to me, is the biggest challenge with this. Clearly, it works in terms of winning. The biggest challenge to me is how do you keep the locker room and the players and the talent all bought in and conducive to what you're doing? That, to me, is the biggest challenge. That, to me, is the biggest challenge with the way they're doing it. T. Roman says, Sills doesn't bully me. I don't know where this narrative came from. I think what I think. Cilio has a perspective. John has a perspective. I have my own thought process. What do you think I am? Fucking 8 years old? Cilio doesn't tell me how to think or bully me. I go on. Some things I agree with him on. Some things I disagree with him on. I actually think he's been pretty right about this offense. They hired the wrong coaches for Jalen Hurts. They don't try and accentuate his talent anymore. And they don't even put him in a position to go and dominate. It goes back to what I just said. They don't care because all their goal is to just be risk averse. Now, is Cilio take it far with Jalen Hurts? Maybe. Some people, I'm sure, think he goes too far. He thinks Jalen Hurts isn't that good of a player. Sure. But at the end of the day, I don't think Cilio's been that far off in terms of they're not doing things to try and accentuate the talent of the quarterback. That's not their philosophy. Their philosophy is don't turn the ball over. That's it. You have a phone call with Uncle Nick Saban. Morty, I love Nick Saban. When does Z disagree? Donald, shut the fuck up. Donald, there's like 50 videos on the JAKIB channel of us debating nonstop. Donald, you listen to what you want to hear. Dumbass. He does take it too far. That's fine. That's your opinion. He's allowed to do his talk show however he wants to do it. And you don't have to listen to it. It's a free market for a reason. There's millions of YouTube channels. Like I always say, laugh and go, Zander, change this. Just fucking go to a new channel, guy. Just go to a new channel. Just go to a new channel. You don't have to be here. Nobody's begging you to be here. One dude, listen to this guy on X. He might be listening right now. So I put out a tweet yesterday because Michael Irvin joined. Epic. Michael Irvin was epic yesterday. And all the people who are, defend Jalen, you would enjoy the interview because he kind of said AJ's not handling the situation good at all. So I put up a picture of Michael Irvin. One guy says, did this poor soul ever find out where his crack pipe was? I get it. There's this funny thing in the past about Michael Irvin and drugs. I'm not tolerating that bullshit. I answered him. What a dumbass comment. You're muted for stupidity. He goes, don't do me like that. This is the state of Philly media disparaging your fan base and listeners for the sake of the biggest rivalry in Eagles history. Still love you, Big Z, but damn, man, shut the fuck up. Don't put fucking dumb shit in my comments and then expect me to fucking glaze your donut because you listen to my show. Go fucking watch something else. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Flexion says a bunch of cucks. Yeah, a lot of them, Flexion. That's the world we live in today, dude. Here's David. What's up, David? Or Davio, not David. Sorry. Hey, man, I confused. I believe in Hurts as a passer and a playmaker. So what did we see in 22 and 23 when Brown had those two great seasons? What is different? Just the philosophy, man. Just the philosophy. That's it. It's just the philosophy. All right? It's just the philosophy. They don't believe that being a high-powered offense makes sense with this team. They don't want to do it, and they've stopped doing it. That's the difference. That is the difference. 22, Hurts was an MVP candidate. 23, as all of you have pointed out, A.J. Brown had 125 yards, 6 straight fucking games. They changed. the turnovers in 23 and the first 4 games of 24, they said, let's stop doing this. Let's go a different route, and let's not turn the ball over. You know, Jalen looks like a different quarterback because of it. A.J. Brown looks like a different receiver because of it. Devontae Smith looks different. Sirianni, everybody looks different because of it. But as you always tell me, Davio, as all the people in the chat always tell me, as M. Reyes always tells me, we win the games. You can't deny what at the clip that we're winning at, man. I get it. But my recommendation would be to you is stop expecting greatness anymore out of Jalen. And that's not me saying he can't be great. That's me saying they don't want him to be anymore. They just want to manage the game offensively. It's not even all about the quarterback. It's about the whole offense. This is why A.J. Brown's pissed. This is why Saquon Barkley's not getting his numbers, because everything is condensed. Just don't turn it over. We'll win the game. So I hear you, but stop looking at trying to get more out of Hurts. They're not asking him to do more. They're not asking him to do more. Y'all really goofy call him a flex. It is what it is, dude. You know, it is what it is. I love that you led the show yesterday. We did talk about hair. Was that yesterday? I thought that was a couple days back. I don't know, man. It all runs together. But all right, everybody. Appreciate all you guys for being here today. Should be a good one this weekend, man. Eagles, Cowboys. I don't know. I think the star of the game is going to be Jalen Phillips. That's my prediction. Star of the game. I got 27-20. Eagles win the game. My star of the game is going to be Jalen Phillips. And I'm going to predict Andrew Makuba interception. I'm going to predict an Andrew Makuba interception. Created by pressure from the defensive line. Carter, I think, is probably the next best pick. All right. Key says, I hope the defense is lights out. I think they will be, dude. I really feel good about that defense, man. I really do. I feel real good about that defense, man. The star will be cute. Preston, he will be. He always is. But he doesn't get a lot of picks. You know, he's not really that type of corner. But they ain't going to pick on him, that's for sure. He's been so damn good. Man. Carter, legacy game. I could see it. Hollywood says, have a great football weekend, Zander. Upcoming Thanksgiving, brother. Go Niners. Appreciate you being here, my man. JAKIB Sports is for all football fans, all sports fans. You know, I saw someone saying, why do people come here who aren't Eagles fans? This isn't for only Eagles fans. All right. Davio, I did get your super, bro. Did you miss me answering it? He says he forgot my super chat. I did read it, bro. I did talk about it for a couple minutes. But I'll read it again. Hey, man, I'm confused. I believe in Hurts as a passer and playmaker. What did we see in 22 and 23 when Brown, though, 2 great seasons with Hurts? What is different? It's the approach, man. It's the approach. That's what it is. That's what it's come down to. That's where they're at. And I don't think they're going to change. They're winning games, man. They're winning games at such a high clip. You know, I would put a bet on Makuba. I think he's got a good knack for the ball. I'm predicting a Sidney Brown unnecessary roughness on special teams. Roll Philly. Every once in a while, you have a funny comment. That's a good one right there. I'm not in a very good mood today, but that's a good one. All right. Thanks. Love you, man. Davio, love you too, bro. Appreciate you being here, man. All right. Yo, Eduardo, one thing I got to say, look, I know Hogan says some shit that pisses people off. I don't think that was very cool, bro, what you said to him. All right. Come on, man. You got a wrench. Like, you're in here, like some people equate that. Do you represent Jay? That wasn't a cool comment, bro. That doesn't accomplish shit talking about someone's mother like that, man. I don't appreciate that for one. Fly goes fly says, God bless my love. Haters gonna hate. Yes, they are, no doubt. Appreciate your support, man. Ma'am, I guess I should say. Appreciate your support. All right. We got a lot of great supporters. We do. All right. We got a lot of great supporters. Great fun as always. Appreciate you, Chi-Town. All right, everybody. We'll have the National Football Show later today. Appreciate all you guys being here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Big thanks to our 2 guests today, John Machota and Oscar Budajin. All right. Good stuff there. So appreciate all that. Eduardo says, Xander, the boy was throwing racist. Well, Hogan, I don't know if you were. I didn't see it all, Eduardo. I can't see every comment. Hogan, if you're being racist, please shut the fuck up. All right? Don't do that shit. All right? None of that's needed here either. All right? But, Eduardo, it's a two-way street. Two wrongs don't make a right. I didn't see the racist thing. If you were being it, please keep it out of here. Nobody wants that. I don't know why people love to go to that shit, man. This has always been a football channel first. I don't know why the fuck we have to go there. In the chat, on the show, come on, man. Please. Everybody, top to bottom. Treat human beings like they're fucking human beings. Good night. Hogan, if you're being racist, stop being fucking racist. Eduardo, you don't need to criticize the man's deceased mother that way. All right? Both of you. Love all you guys. Hit that like button. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.